West Outdoors has been brought to you by Valley Firearms, your one-stop destination for all your firearms needs, shipping Canada-wide, coast to coast. Secret Creek Supplies for all your ultralight backpacking needs and much, much more. Secret Creek Kennels, no pets too big or too small, we do them all. On today's episode of West Outdoors, I enlist my neighbor Eric's help to fall some danger trees around the Trapline cabin. The timber will be used to elevate the new outhouse for easy access in the winter.
Snowmobile extraction, take one.
Yeah. A perfect example of why these trees are getting cut down this year. So, episode 1, reason the trees need to get cut down is the huge tree wells that are in front of the cabin that keep trapping people. Yes. Those trees gotta go.
There's the tree's fault. Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tree well in front of your cabin is not a good thing. I'll turn your skis towards the bunny hill.
Are you going to go that way? Oh,
There you go.
thanks, man.
Always fun. What do you do for an encore?
Oh, just watch.
Just wait, because we gotta keep an eye on the tree now. There she goes.
There it goes.
Yay! You didn't yell at timber.
What a difference.
He said
Yeah.
How much light that let in.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Thank you.
There be like
Are you taking credit there, Bob? Are you taking credit there? Why not, eh? Gorgeous.
Job 1, let's get the trees out of the way, let the sun shine in and dry up some of this mud. After a brutal drive up from the bottom in the skid steer, which is not designed for bush roads, 0 suspension, we did get it to the cabin, and I'll tell you what, make short work of moving all this timber and prepping the site. It's worth it once you get it there, but getting it up to the cabin was not fun. We need to pay a young guy to do that job next time, not an old guy. So there's many benefits of clearing the brush around the cabin. First off, it makes it a lot easier to turn around in the winter. There's a huge tree well that collects underneath the trees that you saw in the center there. Bit of a trap for the beginners when they come up to the line just to spend the day with us. It can be, at times it can be 5 or 6 feet deep. We've lost a few sleds in there, makes for a bit of work to get them out. Not only that, it lets the sun in, and being that the cabin was built in a spruce swamp, not my first choice of locations for the cabin, we need to let some light in to dry up the swamp that's around the cabin. And it helps with the bugs too as well. If you dry up your site, you don't have as much standing water and there's a lot less bugs around the cabin. Just so many benefits from clearing a little bit of space around your cabin. We want it to be kind of park-like, not really a big scar on the mountain, but just enough to let some light in and dry things out. That's what we're looking for. You can see the large tracks from the skid steer. They are skid steers. The reason that they make such a mess of your site is right in the name of the machine, skids to steer. Okay, so here you can see exactly why we had to build a new outhouse. This is a very poor design for many reasons. You'll see the water staining on the outhouse up to about the level of where most of the snow is most of the time. Probably your average snow depth is 5 or 6 feet around the cabin, and you can see that marking on the outhouse. Not only that, it was built with untreated, basically whatever wood they could find, and it was placed on an old plastic, half of a plastic drum, so it filled up pretty quick. Now here you're going to see us try to move the outhouse with the skid steer. It seemed like a good plan, but the thing was so rickety that it just looked like it was going to fall on the skid steer. So for safety's sake, and we're not big on safety, you'll see many points of that in this video. We did decide to just push the outhouse over after a few attempts to try and get it picked up without destroying it. We still need a lot of the pieces off of the outhouse to build the second outhouse. We don't throw away anything when we're this far in the bush. I don't think anybody does, so we salvage what we can from the things that we're taking apart. Jackie's working hard to separate the usable pieces, and Steve and I are slowly putting the usable pieces back on as siding. Keep that rustic look. What we used was a culvert that I was able to get thanks to BC Eco Chips. It was a donation from that company to me, one of our partners at the Sutherland Group. We just recycled the wood. It's going to be a long time before trees as big as we're using are going to rot out. I know they're not ideal. Using balsam fir is one of the worst building materials there is, but that's what we had, and we don't waste what we have. So you can see all the rot here on the cribbing, and it was basically just falling down. But it was elevated somewhat, but probably sunk a foot over the years, and we want to start with it quite a bit further off the ground. Just makes things a lot easier, and with a stainless steel, or I don't know what the material is, maybe galvanized, I can't remember, but the culvert that we put under it will outlast me, and that will be my son's problem in the future. You'll also notice here that we put the logs up on top of some rocks to elevate them up out of the dampness during the summer, give them a fighting chance. We know we should have basically took the bark off the logs, but balsam fir, I don't know that that would have really helped a whole lot. We know that my son Colby's probably going to be redoing this cribbing at some point, but this is the materials we have. We try to do things on a budget. There's not a lot of money in Trapline, and it's expensive to build these projects off-grid. We did have to buy some new wood. You'll see here the trusses that we used on the roof. Those had to be new just to put up with the snow load. So where we can, we use old materials. Where we have to, we buy a little bit of new from time to time. You can really notice here the amount of mud that we're dealing with around the cabin, especially after we've been driving around with the skid steer. And there's your height of your new cribbing right there. Recycling a little bit of the roofing material. Actually, I think we pretty much used it all. That's the tin from the old outhouse. We're even going to reuse the old roof. It was up and out of the elements, so it stayed pretty good. Quite heavy, but See later on here how we get that back up on top there. It was way too heavy to lift, but it was in good shape, so we recycled the whole roof. Tin's expensive. Here you can see us prepping to get the roof on. This was a bit sketchy. Obviously broke a few safety rules here, you'll see. But you do what you got to do, and everybody knows the risks and tries to stay as safe as they can. But you'll see there's a lot of safety rules. We wouldn't work like this at my regular day job, I can tell you that much. But it seemed to work when we're out there. I've done a lot of projects with these two men, so we communicate pretty well together. Having equipment around when you're doing off-grid projects makes all the difference in the world. It would have been extremely labor intensive to do anything before skid steers and mini excavators and tractors. They are a huge help around the site. A huge thank you to Bob and Steve for all the help. Always there when there's a project being done. Unfortunately, they don't trust me with much carpentry work. They pretty much get me to do the machine work. That's where my skill set is on the equipment. Certainly isn't anything to do with carpentry. So I basically am the go-for when these two are on the site, because their carpentry skills far exceed anything that I have been able to achieve in my life. Okay folks, now you can see kind of the final project here. We got some cleaning up to do. This is basically what it's going to look like. We added the elk antler. That's an elk shed. We can't shoot the little guys like that. But when they shed their antlers, we pick them up and we use them for all kinds of things. You'll see inside we used one for a toilet paper holder. We just kind of use them for handles and all kinds of different things, crafts, that kind of thing. Nothing goes to waste with us. Like to use everything we find in the bush. So here you can get an idea of what it looks like inside. You'll see there was my old employer. I brought that stuff home. It says Brandt thumb. That's an excavator part. That was the box it came in, so we reused it after we sold the thumb. My dad would be proud to see all this work being done with just an axe and a chainsaw and a few spikes. That was pretty much carpentry 101 with my dad growing up at the fishing resorts. The first one, Headwaters Resort, was drive-in for most of the year, and the second, more remote flying resort, Bear Lake Resort. Yeah, that's where we learned basic carpentry skills. The old man was pretty adventurous guy to head off into the bush with young wife and 3 small children. 5 people on one snowmobile to get to town. I don't know what his plan B was for us all being out there, but I'm not sure if he had one. He was just like that. He just thought he would play it by ear and handle things on the fly, whatever came up. So I think when you grow up that way, you pretty much are called back to the mountain, and that's what this whole project is about. My dad is currently fighting stage 4 cancer, and he's not able to get out to the bush anymore. I bought the Trapline after he wasn't so mobile anymore. So we started this project as basically a tribute to my dad. This was our way to bring the new Trapline to Dad so he could see what we were up to, and that his equipment was getting used, our way of getting him up on the mountain. What we're using today for tools hasn't really changed a whole bunch from his time. Living off-grid has changed somewhat, but the basic tools are still the same. We have the benefit of solar power, better chainsaws, generators, and much newer, better snowmobiles. But the basic tools like the axe, they have not changed. When you grow up off-grid from 4 years old, it kind of changes you inside. I will never really feel truly at home in the city. My parents tried to give us a part-time life in town when they bought the second seasonal fly-in resort. I guess they felt that we should get more socialization in town, homeschooling and isolation in the forest. We were not able to have friends and socialize with people our own age. So in the early days, you know, when you broke up with a girl or you were down on life or lost a job, something bad happened, it was always up to the mountain to get your head straight. It has always been that way. It has always been straight to the forest for me and my siblings, my brother and my sister. We'd always go back to the forest to get our heads straight. And I think I still do this every weekend to this day. An overnight at the Trapline cabin always gets me sorted. Whenever I think I'm tough and hardcore, I just remember my mom and dad heading to town to do laundry once a week, pick up supplies on an old early 70s John Deere 500 snowmobile with 3 young children. We were probably all under 7 or 8 years old. My sister, I think, was 3 at the time. That's pretty hardcore. 5 tough people all on one snowmobile with a trailer behind with all the gear. There was tough times, but it was a simple life, and everyone had their job, and it made me who I am today. The mountain calls me every day, so I know how my dad feels in his cage in town. So this show's for you, Dad. So we're going to burn we'll just burn the small piles here because forest fires are always a big concern on the line. So wait to burn the other larger piles when there's snow on the ground. Then that's the safest way to go about it. The other trick here is to start the fire on the side that the wind is blowing from. So it blows towards the pile and burns the pile. That's a little trick I got from Ray. And this is the reason we do it, folks. We like to be out here. This is the country surrounding the cabin. This is where we get to spend our time playing on the weekends. It's beautiful at any time of the year. It seems different every time we come up there. There's always something changing. The mountain has its own ways, as they say in Jeremiah Johnson, and it's ever changing. West K Outdoors has been brought to you by Central Island Rentals and Sales. Canadian Coyote Company, home of the Seneca snares and so much more. West K Outdoors, so much more than just a trapping show. Check us out online.
I'm looking to see how full they are. And the difference between a BC coyote and an Alberta coyote is the color.